Listen to the vibes.
The views and opinions of our guests may not necessarily reflect those of the host or the Vibes Broadcast Network. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. And I have here Mr. Jeremy Bryant, and he is a podcaster, and he's into a lot of the same things that I'm in. In fact, I didn't know if we were going to do a show. We were talking so much beforehand. But originally, we were going to do this on my paranormal show because we both are into the paranormal. But I found out he has so many other interests. I said, hey, let's just get a broad idea of everything he does. And first, let's start off. You tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, 34 years young. I'm originally from Kingston, New York, first capital of New York, and moved up to the Massachusetts about 5-6 years ago, and have been living in north central Massachusetts since then, basically. And I just, one day on Facebook, I saw someone on one of the groups I'm in asking if I wanted to be in a podcast, and I replied and said, and not me specifically, but he just asked for anybody who wants to be in a podcast. And I replied and I said, yeah, sure. And I chatted with him for like an hour or so that night. And I have no problem hearing the sound of my own voice, as people now know. But so I said, sure. And a couple months later, in November of last year, we decided to start it. And it's been going strong since then. And I wanted to branch out and do my own podcast. And I'm a huge fan of the paranormal. So, of course, that was my first leap to was, let's go do paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
So I started my show, Paranormal, the New Normal. And it's a fun show to do. It's an interview show. Every week I have a different guest, and I'm now doing 2 episodes some weeks with different guests. So a lot of weird topics been talked about on as well. So be cautious if you listen to it that you don't have kids around for some of it, but I try to keep it clean for most part. Though I did just talk to a porn star about spectrophilia, so that episode I definitely don't recommend for kids.
Must be Johnny G.
It's Johnny G.
Yeah, I'm actually going to have him on my show.
I just did an episode with him. It was my first hump day bonus episode, which I did on purpose. I did that on purpose. Exactly. I did that on purpose because of him, but I mean, it worked. It was a fun conversation with him. He's a very unique person. He has some views in the paranormal I never even thought of before. So
yeah.
I just was like, okay, I'll talk to him. I don't mind. I mean, I've watched enough porn in my life to enjoy talking to porn stars, so why not? But yeah, I started with the paranormal podcast, and we're 9 episodes in now. The 9th episode will drop on this Saturday, which I don't know when this episode releases, but it'll be probably out by then. And I decided to start a music podcast with someone from my first podcast, Bracket Bastards. Me and my friend Chancey from it wanted to start a music podcast, so we did that, where the first 3 episodes are just us bringing an album to the table and challenging each other to listen to it and pick top 5 out of it and to review it. And starting next week, we're bringing guests in every week, and now there'll be 3 albums talked about every week. So it's just it's a fun show. Definitely have to get you on sometime because I see your Frank Zappa t-shirt, so definitely got to get you on sometime. But
oh yeah, you should see my office. It's nothing but Kiss.
Ooh, I like me some Kiss. So
yeah,
but
floor to ceiling.
Well, I don't mind rock and rolling all night or licking it up, so I'm good for Kiss any day of the week. But and then I also have a pop news podcast, which we just released the first episode today, actually, from the day of this recording. But we just cover whatever's in the news each week. Like this week, we're covering the news about Rebel Wilson announcing she's a lesbian, but society having she was forced to announce it. Like she was forced to admit it, and we're going to talk about why that's not okay. Like, why do you need to force celebrities to admit who they're in relationships with? Leave them alone.
Shouldn't that be her decision and not anybody else's?
Exactly. It's kind of like when Oprah almost tried to out Nathan Lane back in the 90s, but Robin Williams was like, no, we're not doing that. Like, he put a stop to it. The great soul Robin Williams was. But so, and I also have another paranormal podcast that's a discussion podcast, and our first live stream will be this week, and we live stream every Saturday night on the Parahost Network. It's called Global Strangeness, and it's me and 3 people I literally met online who are into the paranormal because someone else put a post up saying they're looking for people who want to be on podcasts, and I jump on opportunities. So,
Gotcha.
and our first episode is going to be all about Wendigos,
Oh, cool.
and that's a fun topic to get into. And so we're going to, and once we get enough of an audience, we are going to bring 3 cryptids at the end of every episode up, and the audience can pick what topic we do next.
Oh, nice.
Gotta love a little listener participation. You gotta love it. But
So, what do you do the lives? Is it like on like Facebook, YouTube?
yeah, it as of right now, it's on Parahost Network on Facebook.
Okay.
They have their own page, and every live I do is gonna be through them. I may upload the videos to YouTube as well eventually. I'm working on doing that because I have I have all the videos saved because I use Zoom for all my podcasts. So
Myself.
I have the video. I have the video saved, so I just gotta work on getting YouTube channels made and putting it all out there and figuring out how to edit video and all that. So the fun parts of being a podcaster, trying to learn all these new technology things you never knew how to do.
Yeah, when I first got into it, I was hiring a friend of mine's son to do the editing for me. So he did like 1 or 2 episodes and then disappeared on me. And then trying to get him to answer me was impossible. And I had the episodes starting to pile up. I ended up found me a good program and then got on YouTube. I looked up how to do this program. And so I'd watch a few seconds of it and then go and I'd do it on the computer, watch a few more seconds of it, do it on the computer, and just kept doing that. After about 3 or 4 days, I started to pick up what's going on. And it took me about a month before I got really, really comfortable with it. Now I do it in my sleep. And if I can do it, anybody can.
Yeah, I believe the one website I use for design for my art, for my shows, Canva, I think it has a video editing feature too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have to look at that and see if I can work on that because I got like my kid jumping in the background, some of them and everything like you saw previously. So it's, I do want to edit those. Well, I don't know if I want to edit those out or if I just want to see if I can blur out the back in those ones, but we'll see. I mean, either way, it's not the end of the world that she's in the background, but it's just, there's some portions of shows I do need to edit out because the guest requested it. So
yeah, do it. You say you find you one you're comfortable with, and before you know it, you're doing it without even thinking about it. I use VSDC myself, and they should pay me royalties for this, but VSDC is a good program.
I'll have to look into that. VSTC. Okay, I'll definitely remember that and look into it. But
Yeah, there's a free and a paid version of it, and I like all the extra features, so I'll go ahead and I pay for it.
I might have to look into that because I had no problem paying for it if it helps with the audio and everything. But I'll look into that definitely because I want to have a few YouTube channels because as my wife keeps saying, get on YouTube. That's where you get popular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's when you finally get monetized, it's such a, I can't describe the feeling. Yeah, it took me a long time, but finally got there.
I have monetization coming from Anchor as of the last couple weeks, but it's slow building.
Yeah. I'm on Rumble, and I finally earned $5 on there, so I'm kind of excited about that. $5.16 to be exact.
Oh yeah, I've earned I've earned a whole total of 6 cents so far, but
whoa,
I know. Take me to the penny candy store that existed 50 years ago. But
so the music, is it like just general music in general, or do you have a genre that you try to stick to? Or
it's in general. I mean, Chancey brings whatever he wants to the table, which he has. Well, like me, he has very eclectic music taste. I mean, I like a lot of generic music. Oh, not generic, but a lot of famous classic rock. I like a lot of stuff from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and I like a lot of different rap styles from today back to the 80s, 90s. And I try to switch up between rock and rap every week. But like this last episode we just released today was I brought Psychopathics from Outer Space from Psychopathics Records, and he brought Prince's Batman 1989 soundtrack.
Oh wow.
So every episode is two completely different things you would never talk about in the same room, even. But that's the fun of it, is because it's two completely different things. And I've learned to like bands I never really got into, like Guar.
Yeah, that's an acquired taste.
But I was challenged to listen to their Live from Mount Fuji album, and I was I was headbanging with it. I was laughing along with the skits they do in between songs. I mean, so it's definitely, you learn a lot. And with our guests, when we're starting to do guests, we're going to get a lot of albums that we never would listen to probably, and that's the point though. It's to expand music horizons.
There you go. Well, that's why I like Frank Zappa, because he'll take two different genres of music that you wouldn't normally think go together, and he'll put them together. He just figures out a way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I love bands that do that. I listen to a couple of different bands that do the same type of thing, kind of. But I mean, no one matches Frank Zappa. I know that for a fact. But
No, he doesn't get enough credit for as great a guitar player as he is either.
yeah, I mean, I grew up with my father always talking about him, so I get it 100%. But it's just, I mean, and I've had people say to me, "Well, you're going to run out of CDs eventually." I'm like, "That's not possible. That's
Yeah.
not possible. I have thousands and thousands of CDs I love that I've heard, and most of them I love all the way through. There's not tracks I even skip on them, so it's going to be going for a long time, and we'll see. We'll have to get you on one show too eventually, because every podcast I work with that's into music, at least somewhat, I bring on. So
You have to check out some of my music episodes.
I definitely can. But then again,
Yeah.
you get to pick whatever album you want to bring on. So that's the fun of it.
God, that's hard for me because I love so much music. It's hard to just pick one. You know what I mean?
100% understand that, but I have to think with the guests. I always have to think, what album do I want to put them on? Like, what album do I want to introduce them to that they probably never heard before? And I've gotten Chansey 3 times now with, well, 2 times really, with albums he's never heard before, but an artist he never heard of before. But so we'll see. I like to surprise people.
Look up Elastic Bond. I think you might like them. They're out of Miami, and they do a lot of like, they'll take 70s music and mix it kind of with hip hop, or they're just a wonderful band. That's all I can say. I love their music. Kind of a psychedelic sound to some of it.
I'll definitely have to look them up, because that does sound interesting.
And so, and in pop news, what got you into that?
Oh, I've always liked to listen to Fat Man Beyond, and when they release the episodes, and just listening to Kevin Smith and Mark Bernard talk about like what's going on in the world of comic book news, in the world of movies, in the world of, they even get into music a little bit once in a while, but not often. But I just like, it's just fun to talk about like what's going on like with pop culture. I mean, our first episode was of course about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case, because that's what everybody's talking about. And
Of course.
I'm all team Johnny. I've always been, but I am extremely happy Amber Heard is now out of Aquaman 2 completely. But so
Yeah. So you heard what they're going to do. They're going to incorporate Nicole Kidman, her character, to take over that spot that Amber Heard's character was playing. I mean, his mother is somehow going to be the one doing whatever they're doing in that movie.
well, thankfully they ain't doing what him and Mara did in the comic books, but 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 yeah, I didn't hear that, but I totally support that, because I do love Nicole Kidman as an actress, and I did like her in the first Aquaman movie and in the Justice League movie, so I'm all down for that 100%.
Well, I don't know why they don't just go out and find another character to play that part. Everybody was wanting that girl he was in Game of Thrones with. I can't think of her name top of my head, but
Oh yeah, I never watched Game of Thrones.
I've seen part of it, and only started watching it because everybody was talking about it.
Yeah, I never, it's on that huge list I told you about, that shows I'll never get to that I want to watch. I mean, it's hard. It's so hard to pick shows that you actually can watch nowadays, and like trying to pick which ones, it's just impossible.
Yeah, we just got all caught up with Yellowstone the other day.
So I'm a couple seasons behind on that now.
Love that show.
I do too. I saw the first, I think, 2 or 3 seasons, and I think I haven't seen the 4th season, and I don't know if they did the 5th yet or not. But
It's like Dallas meets Sons of Anarchy.
basically, yes.
But Yellowstone, what's the other one we've been watching? Man, we've started watching these other ones. Only reason I watch them because they're on streaming. I got rid of cable.
Oh, me too. That's part of the reason I haven't watched Yellowstone, is because I have to wait for the season to come out to watch it, really, on CBS All Access, wherever it is, or Paramount Plus. Yeah, Paramount Plus, of course.
Well, late in the evenings before we get ready to go to bed and we're trying to unwind, that's usually when we start watching TV. So we'll pick something and we'll start streaming it. Anything with Gordon Ramsay in it, I'm gonna watch.
I love Gordon Ramsay. The show he just did 2 seasons of, where he goes around the world and goes to a different location every episode.
And that was crazy, wasn't it?
What the? Oh my God, I can't think of it.
I can't think of the name of it, but he was like in Pakistan or India or something, and they were making all that food like in the middle of the freaking market, you know?
Yeah, and like when he went to, I want to say it was like some island, and they're making food like at that. Yeah, he was in Africa somewhere, and they're making food like in the edge of a clearing, and there's like hippos just chilling in the water behind them. I'm like, that's insane. Like, I'd be worried about them coming up trying to kill me, but I mean, they have been known to be vicious, but they also can't. Gordon Ramsay Uncharted, that's what it's called. I had to Google it because it was pissing me off. But Gordon Ramsay Uncharted.
That'd be one of those things I'd remember at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, I would probably lay in bed later tonight, like, and I would just sit up like, Uncharted, damn it.
I know this is off topic a little bit, but when I was a kid, me and my cousin were trying to think of all the names of the characters on Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. And we were trying to remember the little brother's name, could not think of it to save our lives. And I'm not kidding, about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I just popped up straight in the bed and went, Russell, real loud, freaked everybody out in the room.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that now, even besides Mushmouth, but
oh, that's a whole nother show. We can talk about that.
Oh yeah, I actually saw Bill Cosby live before he right when the Fat Albert movie was about to come out, because he played a trailer for it before he came out.
Before you found out he was a mixologist?
Oh yeah, this was 10 years before anybody found that out, people knew it, but it just wasn't it was kept a secret in Hollywood, basically.
That hurt my feelings because I was a big fan.
Oh, always. I grew up watching the Cosby Show and Fat Albert and everything else he did. I loved him as a kid, and him in the movie Jack is one of the greatest roles ever. But
I loved I Spy.
I have not seen that. They never really replayed that Nick at Night or anything like that. Like I watched his other shows.
Yeah, I don't even know if they have that in reruns anymore. Him and Robert Culp were perfect together, I thought.
I think they took a lot of his stuff off of reruns since that happened. But
I can imagine. That's the thing about Hollywood. I'll be honest with you. I think most of Americans are kind of falling out of love with Hollywood.
They are. I mean, this year, for example, no one knew about the famous slap heard around the world until the day after, because no one watches the Oscars, because who cares?
That's right. Nobody cares. And then you couldn't stop hearing about it.
Literally. I've been on 2 or 3 different shows where I talked about that slap, and I mean, it was all within a month of it happening, but it was just crazy. I mean, because I do love Will Smith 100%. I still love him. I mean, one bad decision is going to make me stop liking him. That's for sure. But
we all kind of lose it at one point or another.
Oh, 100%.
We all do something stupid.
I've done plenty of stupid things in my life, so I'll gladly admit that.
So do you think it was real or was it staged?
I have so many theories about that being staged and but just the way that Chris Rock is, just the way Chris Rock has been about it, I don't think it was staged, because I don't think Chris Rock would keep playing it off like that if it was staged. Like, and it wouldn't have affected him the way it has with so many movies being canceled and whatnot. I mean, yeah, some of them have said like, "Oh no, we're still shooting it with him. We don't care," but other ones is just like, "Oh no, we're canceling it completely." Like, I still haven't heard of Bad Boys 3 coming back on shooting or anything yet,
Yeah,
or Bad Boys 4, whatever it is now.
I don't know. Some of the decisions these folks make, I don't know what to think, honestly.
Me either. It's like the world is slowly falling apart because of social media and everything else, and it's just not a good thing. I mean, it's just this world's going a direction I don't want to see it going, and it scares me for the future.
And the thing is about social media, it doesn't really reflect the way the world really is, because I can go to a store, it doesn't matter who I run into. I've never seen them before in my life. It doesn't matter if they go to a different church or they have different colored skin or whatever. We have a conversation like a normal human being, and that's all that ever happens.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I'm a retail merchandiser for a living, so I go from store to store all day, every day, and I have talked to so many random people in the last 2 years. I've probably talked to thousands of people in the last 2 years that I don't know from a hole in the wall, and I don't care what they look like, who they are. I'm still going to talk to them. I mean, it doesn't. I treat everybody the same. I apologize to people when I need to apologize if I'm bumping into them or something. I'm not going to turn around and be like, "Oh, look at the color of his skin. I ain't going to apologize." Like, no, people are people. You don't need to treat them differently. I mean, yes, the past has had a lot of that happening over every nation that happened in the past at some point, but it's not the way to be. You should just treat everybody like they're human.
Exactly. And, for the most part, they could be just putting on an act when they talk to me, but I don't get that feeling. I just feel like they're genuinely just want to be friendly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get that, because it's like when you're younger and like you try to talk, you go up and talk to a girl at a bar or something like that, and like you can kind of sense that she's not being totally genuine with you when she's trying to talk. When she talks back to you, and then as soon as you walk away, you hear like the snickers, and that it's like that. Like, but I don't get that feeling with people on an everyday basis anymore. Like, it's just everybody seems sincere when they talk to you, that they really mean what they're saying. And sure, I mean, if you listen to the one podcast I'm on, Bracket Bastards, I'm all one to go for like some racially toned jokes or whatnot, but they're jokes. Comedians like George Carlin, Rodney Dangerfield, I just totally lost the other one, but the leather jacket 3-name guy.
Well, I mean, you had Lenny Bruce.
Yeah,
I mean, Richard Pryor and all those guys, those things they used to say. Eddie Murphy, oh my God, his early stuff.
Yeah, and even look at Bob Saget when he did live like comedy. He was dirty as hell and he was racial as hell. But I mean, look at Daniel Tosh if you want a more modern representation of it. But I have no problem with like racial jokes and stereotypical jokes, because it's funny. It's funny because we understand it's a joke. No one's trying to be serious about it. I'm not going to be Will Smith and walk up and slap someone because they make a joke like that about my culture or about my race. Like, I'm going to laugh at them and be like, yeah, you're right, whatever. But who cares? I mean,
if it's all in fun.
Exactly. I mean,
you're not trying to be malicious about it. I mean, you kind of know the people you're around.
I mean, I'm not going to go up to a random person in a store and try to make a racial joke if they're a different color than me, because that's a good way to get yourself killed. But I mean, if you don't know the person, you don't know what they're going to do or how they're going to react. And that's part of the problem with the world today in social media is everybody is looking to get offended nowadays. Everybody wants to get offended so they can have their little freak out on social media and get followers.
They want to be immune to criticism. So that's why they want you to feel sorry for them. And I'm sorry, you shouldn't feel sorry for anyone.
No, I mean, feel sorry for yourself if you want, but that's your choice 100%. I mean,
you be sympathetic towards people, but you also know you should know how to act when you're around people.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's called manners. Everybody should have them.
I mean, okay, so I have a disease in my spine, and it's making the bones deteriorate along with the discs. So when I do get to walk, I'll walk with a cane, and I don't exactly walk straight.
Yeah, of
And
course.
some people are like, oh, but I don't want to be treated any different than anybody else. So they'll ask me, well, how are you today? And I say, oh, I'm hobbling along. I got that from my grandfather. You
Yeah.
just you can make fun of yourself and laugh at yourself. That's the way the world should be.
Yeah, if you can't laugh at yourself, then you shouldn't be in public to begin with.
I've never seen such a soft generation before.
Oh, I that's one of the biggest things I say is this world is just turning into a world of sissies, and it's horrible. And I don't even mean that in any homophobic type thing, even just the world's turning into sissies. They're all men, women, whatever you want to call yourself, so for your gender, the world is turning into sissies, and it's horrible. It's just people can't. If George Carlin was still alive and performing, he would be canceled by now.
Oh yeah. So Eddie Murphy. Did you ever listen to the first album he ever came out with?
Oh, I have heard parts of it, and he was very, very racially inclined, but it's what I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, that's what comedians did because that's what they know. They knew, oh yeah, well, we we know this because it's our life, so we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about living in the ghetto, and we're going to talk about having to deal with people of different colors like that. 'Cause that's what we have to do on a daily basis.
And what you do in the privacy of your own bedroom, that's your business. I don't
100,
care. I don't need
100%.
to know.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean,
you treat me
I
decent, I'm gonna treat you decent.
yeah, you could be having relations with an elephant and a pig in your room, and I'm not going to say shit about it because I don't care. If you tell me it, I might bring up the South Park episode about that, but other than that, I'm not going to care.
I don't want to know. Be honest with you. I don't tell people about my sex life with my wife. Why do I want to hear about their sex life?
Exactly. I mean, well, okay, well, I can't say I don't bring up mine because I do on the Breck Masters a little bit, but it's just, and they came up with Johnny G a little bit too when you talk to him, just be warned. But because
Well,
with that conversation, you kind of know what direction it's going to go in eventually.
well, here's the thing. Having family and friends who are gay, um, and mind you, I get it, they're older, but they don't have this victim mentality. They want to be treated just like anybody else. So they don't agree with all the stuff that's going on social media and all that stuff with this new generation. They're I don't know. You have to talk to them and you'll know where they're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing against anybody. I mean, I am all for do what thou will. That's one of my favorite lines in the history of the world is do what thou will, because do what makes you happy, and I'll be happy for you. That's all I care about. I don't. I mean, yes, there are of course exceptions to that rule. I'm not going to support certain people like criminals or pedos or anything like that. Like I'm not going to support them.
Of course
Obviously,
not.
no good person is going to support them. But for the general purpose of it, do what you want, and I'll be happy for you, and I won't say anything about it. I may joke about it with you, but if I see you're getting uncomfortable, I'll step back and stop. But that's the way it is. That's the way everybody should be.
When I was working, I always knew the guys that liked me because they would pick on me. You know what I mean? We would
Yeah,
we would make fun of each other but we laughed and we we hung out with each other. We treated each other no different than I would have treated my brother or one of my best friends.
yeah. I mean, when I when I grew up in the '90s, we all would make fun of each other. If something happened to you, you would get made fun of. If you did something stupid, you would get made fun of for a week about it till it got forgotten about.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you said something a certain way, you get made fun of for a week until it's forgotten about. Like that's just the way it is. I mean, I
Have
used to
you?
go I used to go to the general store down the street from us and get sandwiches for lunch and breakfast once in a while. And I went there with my one friend. I ordered a BLT, And for some reason, I told them to smother it in mayo. I don't know why I phrased it like that. I must have heard it on a TV show or something, but I heard about that phrase for at least 3 weeks.
I can imagine.
And it was just, I don't know where the word came from. I must have heard it somewhere, but I mean, I was a kid. I was a preteen, I think, at that point, or maybe a early teenager, but I must have heard it somewhere. And it's just, I don't know. I have no problem. I mean, it's whatever. People make fun of you. You brush off your shoulders, like Jay-Z said, brush off your shoulders and move on with your day.
If I took this generation back in time to when I was in school, they wouldn't have lasted a day.
Yeah, no, oh God, no. I mean, no. School was vicious. People always post those memes on Facebook like, "Would you if you can go back to high school for a week? Would you?" I'm like, "Fuck no." Like, I'm glad that's over. I don't want to go back to that hell. Like, high school was brutal. Like, unless you're one of the most popular kids in the school, it's brutal for everybody else.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I had my good times, a lot of bad times too, but it also made me the person that I am today.
Exactly. Having to put up with that, having to put up with bullying, and just general people being mean makes you have a backbone. It prepares you for the world, because guess what? When you become an adult, it's going to be 10 times worse, because there's going to be a lot worse people out there than you met in high school. Or the people that were in high school with you are going to become worse because they just are that way.
And believe me, I'm a big advocate against bullying. I don't think folks should do it. There are some people out there that cannot handle it, and I get it. I have some mental problems myself, but you have to, if you run across that situation, you have to learn how to deal with it, and you'll see what kind of person it's going to make you. If you decide to run and hide, then you're probably going to be a person with not as much confidence for the rest of your life. For me, I had a kid, and mind you, he was in a gang, and he used to pick on me every day. And I mean, I didn't want to go to school. I was always telling mom, I'm sick to my stomach, and it was constant. I couldn't function. And that summer, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, I'm not going to go through that another year. And so I prepared myself. I worked out that summer, and when I got to school the next year, I'd gotten a little bit bigger. And I mean, no, not Incredible Hulk size or nothing, but I was, a little more confident. And I was prepared just to get my butt whooped. And I saw him in the hallway, and I looked at him and I said, not this year. Not going to happen. You know what? He never messed with me again.
Yeah. A lot of these bullies are lacking in the self-esteem and lacking in the confidence themselves. And that's why they bully people, because they're trying to hide what they really are feeling. Mm-hmm. So if you actually stick up to a bully, yes, sometimes you may get your ass kicked in that process, but they're going to respect you a little bit more because you tried, if that happens. But a lot of times they'll stop messing with you because they're going to see you're serious now and that you're not going to take it anymore. It's not a joke to you. You have a problem with it. And I mean, hell, if you can't get big enough yourself to freaking handle it, make some friends who are bigger than you and bring them with you. Friends can be a great asset and everything like that.
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, if you learn how to handle that situation, you will have more confidence, and I think it helps in your success in life. It shows what kind of person you really are. If we were living back in the Stone Age, I mean, it was whoever was the most powerful was the one in charge, and it was the survival of the fittest, that kind of thing. We couldn't do that nowadays.
Oh God, no! Survival of the fittest is now, sadly, it's becoming a thing in the past. Because, I mean, yes, we don't need to. We can't operate like that anymore because we're a more civilized society nowadays, and it just doesn't work that way. But yeah, survival of the fittest has worked in the animal kingdom for a millennia, so it should still work among humans. I mean, yes, we don't want our leaders, like our presidents or our nation leaders, to be just big, brawny men or women that have no intelligence. I mean, that's not a good thing. But well, not that would change much now. But yeah, I mean, basically, it has to be all well-rounded. I mean, yes, you could be the fittest and you could be the strongest, but you also have to be intelligent nowadays, and you have to be able to understand most things and be able to be wise beyond your years to figure your way out of situations, especially these days. I mean, you kind of have to tell what's going to happen ahead of time nowadays to be able to survive a lot of things that happen in this world.
Yeah. Well, let's say that this generation would not have survived back when I was a kid. Just imagine during the prairie days. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh God. I mean,
Jeez.
it's like Oregon Trail. Everybody would have died of cholera.
Jeez, how do we get off on this subject anyway?
We were talking about, I don't know, we were talking about Will Smith and Johnny Depp, and then just kind of leaped into this world today.
I don't mind talking about it. I see stuff on YouTube that it blows my mind. I don't understand the thinking of people nowadays. I miss the old days. I really do.
The world was 100% better before the internet became as big as it did.
That's the problem. This is the internet.
The internet was fine for the first 5, maybe 10 years, but once Facebook started, that was the beginning of the end.
Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the internet, computers, and all that is a great tool. It's made this possible where we're able to talk together. You can get a lot accomplished. It's just like any tool. If you use it the right way, you'll get the job done. And if you do it incorrectly, well, you're either going to hurt yourself or hurt somebody else.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's just social media has just been the downfall of our society, I think.
Yeah, because now it gives more people a place where they can for some reason, people want to put videos of themselves out there just doing stupid dances or just doing stupid things in general. And it's giving the world more of a chance to bully people. Like one of the people I follow on Facebook and Twitter now, because I think she's gorgeous. Her name is Dallas Brown. She's a influencer, I guess you call her. She gets people all the time that try to say she's trans, to say she's a male to female. She's not. She's 100% female. I can tell by looking at her, but all these people are always trying to hate on her. And it's just like, why? Like, these people are putting their stuff out there because they want to entertain you, because they want to try to become someone. Yeah, big deal. Every girl in the 90s wanted to go to Hollywood and become famous. Before that even, or every girl in the 90s wanted to be a singer like Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera, or take your pick of the names. But people have been wanting to be famous since Hollywood started in the 30s and 40s. I mean, that's just the way it is. But you put yourself out there, you're just opening yourself up for more bullying. And if you're going to be out there being an influencer, you better be able to handle it.
Exactly.
You got to be able to handle it, because it's just, the world is a vicious place nowadays where everybody I love freedom of speech. It's my favorite amendment in the Constitution. I use it as defense all the time for the crazy stuff I like to say. But I can take it when people come back at me and say stuff. Some people are not that strong-minded where they can do that. Some people break apart, and I hate to see people offing themselves because of bullying. To me, that's the saddest thing in the world, is that you literally felt the urge to take yourself off this earth because somebody else was being mean to you.
Oh my gosh, you should see some of the comments that I get. I've been called all kinds of names, and so what? They're words.
Yeah. I retweeted at something I saw yesterday online, and I forget what the original tweet said, but it's about like actions, and like it was about people's actions. And I retweeted and I said, words can only hurt you if you let them. They're words. They have no power unless you give them power.
That's right.
And I had one of my friends who is a Haitian American, but he's like, that's a very privileged statement to say, because you didn't have words created to hurt your whole race. And I'm like, I wrote back on a comment real short. I'm like, that's not necessarily true. I can give you 3 or 4 examples.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
my Irish heritage, they used to call the police vehicle that picked you up, took you to jail, a paddy wagon, and
oh God, yeah.
it was a slur for Irish folks.
Oh yeah, because everybody's seen the old shows and cartoons where the Irish guy gets drunk and falls down the street. I mean, it
That
was
was
one of many.
stereotypical.
It was one of many stereotypes. Every race on Earth has stereotypes against them. I mean, look at freaking Bugs Bunny making fun of the Japanese during World War II in Looney Tunes, and then now you can't even find those episodes because they banned them. They banned them. They ban everything nowadays: books, movies, TV shows. I mean, you can't find Kevin Smith's Dogma in a DVD store anymore. Like you can't buy them on. Well, it's more to do with Harvey Weinstein than what the movie's about. But yeah, it's a rights issue. But I actually have it on DVD still from when I bought it back in the early 2000s. And I will never get rid of it because of this. But you go on eBay, try to find a DVD copy of that. If you really want it, you're spending a couple $100.
Wow.
So if I ever run into financial issues, I'll just put that out there in auction and see what happens. But I mean, it's a lot of things they just can't put out there anymore. I mean, look at Disney Plus. They put out all their Disney movies ever on there in order. But oh wait, there's one missing. Where's Song of the South?
Mm-hmm.
Which, yes, it does have some racial overture to it because it was the time it was made. But why can't they just slap a warning in the beginning of it saying this movie was made during a time period when this stuff was acceptable? But there are parts of this movie that have nothing to do with that, and it's a cute little cartoon for kids.
Mm-hmm. And I don't want people to get the wrong idea. Okay, I understand that there was some forms of like entertainment. You had the blackface and all that, and I get why that would be offensive. I mean, if the shoe was on the other foot, I would have been offended too. I'd get upset with it, and I wouldn't want to look at it either. I personally won't look at it, but at the same time, if somebody else wants to, that's their hang up. I wouldn't stop them from watching it. I don't have to agree with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't agree with a lot of stuff that's on television, but I'm not down at the television station saying take it off the air.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of the Real Housewife shows should be on TV because it's trash TV and just promotes people to be nasty to each other. But I'm not going to write them letters. I'm not going to email them and tweet my ass off saying like, "Oh, you need to ban these shows." Like, no, like that's not. If people want to watch it, and apparently they do because they keep making more and more of them, but people want to watch whatever they want to watch, let them. What's the big deal? I mean,
you know what I do when there's a show I don't like?
Don't watch it.
I don't watch it. I go to a different channel. I may not even support that channel.
Yeah, I mean, it's if Netflix makes a movie or TV show that makes someone uncomfortable, like Big Mouth. One of my favorite Netflix shows is Big Mouth, and it is fucking hilarious. It's hilarious, but it does cross some lines. I mean, I'm sure if people look at it certain ways, it will cross lines, but I wish this show was around when I was a kid to teach me things that no one taught me about the human body and relationships with the opposite sex. Like, the show teaches things that no show ever taught, and it's amazing. Like, I wish I had it when I was a kid. I've said it multiple times in multiple podcasts. Like, I wish it was there when I was a kid, but yet people are all like, "Oh, we're deleting Netflix from our household because of this show." Well, good for you. Have fun with that. You're gonna miss out on a lot of other great TV because of that. But
the only thing I can say I don't agree with on Netflix is the way they've exploited the children in that one movie, Cuties.
I mean, I never watched that movie.
I haven't either, but I've heard enough reviews that.
But is it any different than like Bring It On or any of the movies from the early 2000s, 90s?
I heard some pretty graphic things about that movie, so I don't support that one. I mean, when it comes to children and exploiting children, that's where I have to, I guess, put my foot down. I say that's not really free speech.
It's not. I mean, I agree 100%. I have a 5 and 8 year old. I would never want anyone to exploit them, but I mean, it just comes down to, well, as far as that movie's concerned, I heard so many different sides of that I honestly at one point wanted to watch that movie just to see if what side was really more accurate about it, but I just never did because it just
I don't want to take the chance. To be honest with
yeah,
you.
yeah.
I don't care what kind of movie it is. I don't want to take the chance of it being something really perverted. My eyeballs don't need to see that.
Yeah, I mean a lot of the articles I read, it was just being compared to like cheerleading movies from the early 2000s, or I mean, look at Save the Last Dance that came out in like I think it was 99 or 2000 exactly. It was one of my favorite movies when I was growing up. But yeah, it's got racial overtures and they show girls dancing, like high school girls, but still, I mean, it's the same thing. It's just it's that whole topic. Just, I mean, there's so many rabbit holes in that topic. It's
Yeah.
like it's the same as paranormal topics. There's a lot of rabbit holes for all this stuff that you can go down for days.
See, I'm kind of like the guys that make South Park. Okay, if you can make fun of everybody and it's open season, then I don't have a problem with it. Make fun of me, make fun of my neighbor, whatever. We should all be able to laugh at each other when it comes to, anything
Yep.
like that. I have no problem with. The only place I have to draw the line is when it comes to children. I don't think that, like I say, goes along with free speech. I think it's criminal.
It is, and it's sad that they're trying to ride the coattails of the LGQBT movement and trying to make that a normalized thing. And I don't think it'll ever happen. It never will, because the world is just, that's one thing that the world strongly agrees on, is you don't do that.
Yeah, I've seen some interviews with people from the LGBTQ community and drag queens and all, and the stuff that's going on. They're even saying stop because you're hurting our reputation and everything we've worked so hard for to be
Yeah.
accepted all these years. You've getting it to the point where people are going to start pushing back. As I say, I don't care what you do. If it makes you happy, as long as it's not involving children, you do
Yep.
whatever the hell you want to do.
Exactly. I mean, it's just
I
the way,
mean,
it's the way
don't
it should
screw
be.
my dog though,
Oh yeah, I mean that's a whole nother topic we're not going to get into, hopefully. But there's a lot of that out there too. I can tell you that much. But the amount of ads I've seen in my days for that type of crap, and I don't get it. I don't get that either. But whatever. It's the world's a sick place.
And it's sad because I was talking to my wife's cousin last night, and him and his girlfriend are both on different ends of the political spectrum. And anyway, she said she didn't like his politics because she was told this, that, and the other about how she thinks that everybody from that political party thinks. He's like, nobody thinks that way. They think that we hate homosexuals and we hate drag queens and we hate this, we hate that. It's like, no, we don't have a problem with it. Just leave our kids out of it. That's the only thing we ask.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I tend to vote Republican. That's just the way I am. But I, unlike the stereotypes about Republicans, I have no problem with LGBTQ community. I have no problem with them. I have no problem with they're racist, like they stereotypically say Republicans do. I have no problem with any of it, because I just vote Republican because I like the way they make laws and the way they think. But I mean, it's not the way it used to be. Every member of a political party isn't going to think the same exact way anymore. Yes, they may be pressured into doing things by other politicians, but that's the way it's been since the beginning of time. I mean, you don't think Julius Caesar was freaking getting like little notes full of money, like vote this way in the Senate this week? Like it's been happening since the beginning of time, and it's not going to change. I mean, I think they need to keep corporations out of politics, but that's not going to happen either.
Well, what I hate is the fact that we're being told by people in Hollywood and all this that they hate us. They don't want to have anything to do with us. How's that going to make anything better?
Yep.
How is that supposed to bring people together when you say you hate me? It's
Exactly.
What am I supposed to do? I have to defend myself.
100%. I mean, I if I get attacked personally, I do defend myself, but I'm not going to go on the internet and start just like slaying words into conversations that don't involve me, because that's what people do, and that's what gets them in trouble, and that's what causes more problems, because you're jumping into conversations that don't. No one addressed you and asked you what you think. Then stay out of it. Stay out of it.
That's what I normally do.
Yeah, I mean, if I have something witty to say or something I think is funny, I'll throw it in there as a joke.
I'm like that too.
But I mean, I've also been attacked because of that, and I'm just like sitting back here, like, whatever. I'll do what I want. Like, that's basically my mindset. Like, Cartman is my spirit animal. I always say.
What's funny is when you actually have facts to back up what you say,
Yep.
and they still say you're wrong.
I've had that happen a few times in my podcast group chats where because like it's a huge joke in the one podcast. It's actually at the end of one of the episodes. It was a little segment they saved in, because I thought I didn't know, because a lot of them are from Iowa, and I off the top of my head I couldn't put where Iowa is on a map. I thought it was more of a Midwestern state than it is. So like they kept saying like that I thought Idaho was Iowa, but but the funny thing is like they tried saying like, oh, Iowa's bigger square mileage than the whole Northeast, and I was like, Google, nope, it's not. Here's the proof. And they're like, oh, okay, I'm wrong. And that's what you should do if someone proves you wrong. Just say, whoops, I'm wrong. Sorry, I got my facts mixed up.
Yep.
Or I didn't look at my facts even. I just went off the top. I was talking out my ass. That's the best way to say it.
Yeah, for the most part, I try to stay away from things like politics when I do my shows.
Oh yeah.
If my guest happens to bring it up, if I don't steer away from it and we engage in a conversation, there's usually a reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
And I got to think of the day I would just love to get on and just say exactly how I feel, and let the world know, hey, this is the way most of the people that vote the same way I do, how we all feel. And when they make us out to be some kind of criminals, they make us out to be all what's wrong with the world. And I think, okay, you call us fascist, but what is a fascist? Do you think that that Hitler or Stalin, any of those, would be okay with you being able to say what you want to say?
Nope. They would shut you down and exterminate you faster than you can say boo.
Okay, isn't that what a fascist does? Is you try to keep people from saying what they want to say?
Yep. Like in Russia right now. They don't even let the Russians hear what's happening in the rest of the world, so they have no idea what's going on in the Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that was point one. If I want to give you rights, and I want to have the same rights, then that's not being a fascist.
That's being fair.
That's being fair. Exactly. So who's trying to suppress who here?
Exactly. I mean, people hear the word Republican and they assume we're all being in the forest putting on our white hoods. That's basically what they assume. And it's just not true. I mean, I have nothing against anybody. I believe you don't respect anybody until they earn it, but I will not instantly treat someone worse unless they deserve it. If you treat me bad, I'll treat you bad. If you treat me good, I will return the favor.
You know, I meet somebody, and usually I could pick up on whether this person's a good person or not. But I try to be as courteous as possible whoever I meet, and then I get to know them, and then I decide, hey, if I'm going to talk to you again or not. And that is how I've always generally been when it comes to dealing with people. And I don't see why I should be forced to like someone if I just don't like them.
Exactly. I mean, no one should have to like anybody they don't want to, but don't take it out on the rest of the world because of one person.
Mm-hmm.
Don't assume that one single person represents a whole race, a whole gender, a whole sexual orientation. Just don't assume it. Like, because everybody in those three are different. Yes, there may be similar ones in any of those three categories, but there are different ones as well. And that's just the way it is. And I can't stand when I see people even in traffic. Like I drive all day for my job. So I see a lot of road rage and a lot of angry people in traffic. And like yesterday, this car was letting another car that was coming out of a store on the side of the road, like they waved him on, like, come on, go ahead of me. And the woman straight flips him off for doing that. And like me and him both like looked at each other with our hands up in the air, like, what?
Right.
Like maybe you're just having a bad day or something, but Jesus, like that's uncalled for.
I mean, I'm pretty much a people person. Okay.
Yeah, same.
I mean, I try to make friends everywhere I go.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, there's just going to be some people that are going to rub you the wrong way. And it has nothing to do with the color of their skin or, what their sexuality is, what church they go to. None of that stuff is the problem. It's just their personality.
Yep. They were either raised to be that way because their parents were that way, or something happened to them along the line in life that just made them be that way. And you could spend the time to try to figure out why, but you might never see that person again. So why waste your time? Just let them go in their day. And like Bobby McFerrin said, don't worry, be happy. Just keep walking.
And, the things that we're saying, it may sound cliche because I know I've heard it 100 times, but it's almost like you have to repeat it.
You do. I have to. I mean, my kids ask me all the time when people are in stores and like people act certain ways, like in stores, like they ask me like, why do they do that? I'm like, people have bad days. You can't judge someone on the first time you see them do something. You can't. They could be having one bad day, or they could be having a bad month or a bad year. Who the hell knows? But just let them go upon their way, ignore it. And unless they get in your face and try to interact with you and try to make your life worse, then leave them alone. Who cares? Let them have their bad day. They'll get over it eventually, hopefully.
And anybody that's watching this or listening to this and they say, oh, well, this is just two white guys talking about this. You know what? I have my black friends come on and say the same thing.
Yep. I have a few black friends that would do the same thing as well. And I have a few Latinx friends, I have friends of every race at some point, and most of them would all say the same thing. Yes, they may try to throw a little extra in there from their perspective, but they mostly will say the same thing.
Yeah. I don't even know why we have to keep having this conversation over and over and over again. But I see the same stupidity being talked about all the time about how, some lady was blaming the gas prices on the religious right. What the hell does that have to do with anything?
I mean, the gas prices have to do with OPEC. That's it. That's all. That's the only person that, I mean, you could try to blame the president for it, but you really can't because he doesn't control them.
But the thing is we were energy independent.
Yeah, I know.
Before this ding dong got into office.
Yeah, as the popular meme on Facebook says, I'd rather have Trump as worst day than Biden as best day. But yeah. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But I try to keep his name on my shows. It happens once in a while, but I try to keep politics on my shows too. But every once in a while, you gotta just throw it out there. But
I said I want to make a shirt that says "Bring back the mean tweets."
So I would wear that because, I mean, what's funny actually though is we did a Will Smith bracket a long time ago for a different reason before the slap, because our one co-person on our podcast doesn't like Will Smith at all.
Really?
So it was my choice to pick a bracket that week, and because of him, I picked Will Smith. But it's funny because I wanted to go tweet him after the slap happened, and because we were reposting this episode trying to get more listens after the slap happened, and Will Smith is actually banned on Twitter too.
Oh, no way.
For a long time, I guess, and he hasn't really tried to get back on.
Wow. Well, the reason why I stay away from politics is that I really don't want to offend half my audience.
Oh yeah, same.
the whole point of the show is really to have a good time and to get to know people and, maybe get some inspiration or motivation from my guests. That's my whole purpose behind it. And yes, every once in a while, topics like this will come up. And as much as I've tried to avoid it, I guess sometimes you can't help. I mean, the conversation is going to happen. I want to make myself clear. I want people to know who I am, what I'm about. I don't hate anybody for how they vote.
Mhm.
I mean, really, there's people in this world that I would rather not be around at all. And as much as I can't stand them, I won't say that I hate them, because that's not the way you're supposed to be.
Yep.
I mean, we were supposed to talk more about your shows, but
Well,
I'm sorry about that.
No, we did in the beginning, and then just it turned sideways once we got into certain topics. But because we were talking about my show when we were talking about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and we were talking about Rebel Wilson having to being forced to tell the media who she's with, and that's what led to this whole debacle of politics and all that fun stuff. But I mean, but that's what my new show is basically. My entertainment news show. We get into stuff like this, but and yes, we're two white guys and a girl that I'm not even going to guess what her ancestry is, but I don't want to because it's not my place to, and it doesn't matter who we are because anybody can talk about this stuff, and whether you agree with us or not, that's your choice, 100%. And we're not trying to hate on anybody. We're just giving our opinions, which that's freedom of speech. You're allowed to give your opinions on everything. People don't have to like it, but hey, I'm not out there trying to hate anybody. I'm not out there spray painting nasty things anywhere. I'm not out there burning churches down. Like it's just I live my life. People should live theirs. That's the way I see the world.
By no means do I think my side is perfect. Of course there's going to be a-holes in there. It happens. I don't care what group you're affiliated with. There's going to be some a-holes.
Oh, always.
They're going to do things that is going to make your group look bad. But when you have social media the way it is, when you have shows like The View that comes on and says the crazy stuff they say,
oh God, yeah.
they make it out like we all hate each other, and unfortunately, it's a small minority in the corner of social media that they speak so loudly that you don't know if the person you're sitting next to on the park bench is going to be part of that group or going to think like you do. And that's the sad part about this world is we don't know because of keyboard warriors.
Yep, because of the keyboard warriors and because of the trolls. That's
Exactly.
the biggest issue out there is the people that are online looking to just start things and start trouble, and
That's all they're there for.
that's all they're there for. They get usually because their lives are so miserable, they have no way to have fun but make other people miserable like them.
Mm.
And I mean, if you ask a psychologist and a therapist, same thing, and that's the answer they'll give you. There's something in their life they are unhappy about, so they want you to be unhappy.
That's the problem. And that's why I'm going to do the show that I'm doing, because I'm trying to bring some positivity into the world. And I only let this conversation happen because I felt like I needed to get it out. I want people to know what I'm about. I'm really a good person. I try my best to get along with everyone. There's people in the world I really, really don't like. I don't hate them. I don't wish anything ill to happen to them because I believe in karma as well. And I just think that we should all sit down and talk. But unfortunately, the direction that this world's going, this country's going, we're in civil war, man. Again.
Not the good one with Captain America on one side and Iron Man on the other. But
That's right. That's right. Some people say we're headed for it. I think we're already in it.
We're in it, but it's not. We're there. We have better methods of doing it now than facing each other in a field with muskets. So But I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, it's not going to be. The problem is the Civil War this time. It's going to be small groups of hatred that spread it, and it's not the whole nation agreeing with one side or the other. It's too many different sides to even count.
Everything's going to be done on the computer,
Which is a lot. It's a lot less bloody, thank God. But I will say that because I mean, we don't ever want a civil war like the original one because it would destroy this country, and then we wouldn't be a world power anymore.
Nope. Well, I always say you can tell that I'm not prejudiced because some of my best friends are Houston Texans fans. So.
And I will say, this is why the aliens don't come down and talk to us, is because we have all these issues, and they're saying, screw this dirtball of a planet. We're leaving. We're just going to take your resources out of the ground and go home.
I wish they would come get me, though, or send an asteroid or something here. Just get it over with.
Just bring back the dinosaurs that you guys collected thousands of years ago and put them back on Earth, and let's wreak some havoc and see what happens.
That's right. That's right. Well, I hate seeing the world the way it is. I want to get along with my neighbor. I'd rather have friends than have a bunch of enemies. I know most of the people that I talk to feel the same way. I want everyone to feel welcome. I know there's going to be some people that are going to probably not listen to me anymore because I gave my opinion. But I'm sorry. I just feel like it needed to be said.
It does. And I mean, this isn't the first show where I've talked about politics by any means in this world, but I always say the same thing. I don't get involved in other people's thoughts. I don't get involved in other people's ideas unless it affects me personally, which it rarely does. Yes, I am a white man, so yes, there's a lot less that could be affecting me in this world, according to most people, but I don't call it privilege. I just call it, this is who I am. This is how I was born. I didn't choose to be born any color, any race. And through my ancestry, I actually found out a lot of things about myself that I didn't know I was a part of even, but you know what? No one's going to bring me down because they don't like what I say. That's the bottom line, and that's the way everybody should be.
You know, I was listening to Young Ripa. I don't know if you ever watch him, but
can't say I have.
Eric July. He's a libertarian, and he also happens to be black. And he was talking about his skin color, and he says, "You know, I was born with this. It's not something I worked for or I had to earn. It's just this is the skin I was born in." And I'm like, I wished everybody thought that way, because I mean, I didn't come out and choose this color. This is the way I was born. Yeah,
it's not like I was boss baby and I was taken to the place before and I could pick out what I'm going to look like. Like, it's just not the way it is. I mean, it's you're born how you're born, and no one should hate you for it, and no one should cause problems for you because of it. That's just the way it is. No one chooses to be put in this earth. We are just put on this earth without our consent. And yes, I agree with that 100%. We shouldn't have to be punished for who we are.
exactly. And you know, don't get me wrong. I'm not a prude. I'm cuss every once in a while, and I listen to music that's a little explicit, and I'll watch even movies that have some explicit stuff. But for the most part, I'm very conservative in my ways. I don't cuss in front of my mother. I never cussed in front of my grandparents. That was a respect thing. You live your life however you want to. It's not going to affect me. I don't push my beliefs on anyone, so I don't expect them to try to push their beliefs on me. How many people they'll have someone knock on the door and try to invite them to come to church, and they say, "Don't shove your religion down my throat." Well, that's the way I feel about people's beliefs. I can believe the way I want, respect you. You live whatever you decide, that's what you decide. That's how you live your life. That's between you and your God. You know what I mean?
Yep. If you have one, even, because
Right.
I'm agnostic, so I'm not atheist. I'm agnostic, but I
get it.
But
Especially this climate.
and being into the paranormal, I have to be agnostic because I don't know what to believe. Because I I would love to I would love to be like in the show American Gods and get to meet Odin. Like that'd be awesome. Odin, if you're out there, please, I'd love
Oh,
to meet you.
I'm right here. I just shaved the rest of the beard off.
Well, I actually can't wait to see the new Thor movie because they have Zeus in it. But
yeah, I'm one of these people. I don't just because I might. Well, how was it put? I don't have to agree with you, and I don't have to go along with you for you to think that I'm against you.
yeah,
Yeah.
we can all walk our own paths and not get in the way of each other's.
Right. I'm gonna live my life the way I feel like I should live it, and you live your life the way you feel like you should. Then I believe that's the way the world should be. We should, if we have to make decisions that are going to affect everyone, we should sit down and we should have a conversation. We should compromise.
Yep.
But, compromise goes both ways. And yes, there's just like with my wife and I, we don't always agree on everything. And sometimes I have to make a decision and I have to stand by it no matter what. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't.
Yep.
But that's the way the world is.
Oh yeah, me and my wife rarely agree on anything that has to do with the world, but it's just what it is. I just eventually, if she doesn't stop going on, I walk away. I just walk away and say, believe what you want to believe. I don't care. I love you. I don't love your beliefs, but I still love you. It has nothing to do with our relationship.
Exactly. I mean, all my friends, they don't believe the same way, and I think it would be boring if all my friends and my family all thought the same way. What kind of world would this be if we all thought the same way?
Oh God, it'd be horrible. We'd be clones, and it'd be freaking horrible. It'd be so boring. There'd be no entertainment because no comedians would be able to make jokes.
That's right.
They'd all make the same jokes, and eventually there'd be no comedians because no one would want to watch them anymore.
I could go on and on with this. I hope I said what I needed to say and got it out. Tell us, do you have a website?
I do not yet, but I do have a Facebook group that is called Paranormal, the New Normal Podcast Group. And rather than me going through all my podcasts again, if you go to this group, you can I post all my episodes from all my shows in this group. And so you go to that group if you were interested in finding me or any of my shows, and they're all going to be there. Just scroll down. It's mainly just me posting my podcast or me posting some paranormal news articles, possibly. But
yeah, is that the only social media, or do you have other?
You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram as Juggalo Bastard. And you can find me on Facebook as well as Jeremy Bryant. And I'm on TikTok as Paranormal the New Normal, though I posted nothing yet because I'm still trying to figure. Though I might be doing something with that soon because I'm working out a deal with Cryptid Crate to sponsor my show.
Oh, nice.
Well, sponsor it in the way where I get my Cryptid Crate for free, and that way I sponsor the show.
Gotcha. And
save me $40 a month.
Your show's on Anchor, right?
My show's on Anchor, but you can catch it on Spotify, iTunes, any podcatcher. I put all my shows in all the podcatchers because Anchor is great for that. So
yeah, that's the way I am with Buzzsprout. Well,
I actually started using Buzzsprout for my newest show because Anchor only lets you do one podcast per an account. So I have 2 different Anchor accounts, and I need a third way to put out shows. So Buzzsprout it was.
I got you. Yeah, I like Buzzsprout, and it's convenient. That's another person that should pay me as much as I talk about them. But if you could give me all the links, I'd be glad to put them in the description so people can just click on it and go to it and then be able to follow you on social media. And
yeah, of course, we'll connect on social after we get done with this, and we'll work that out. No problem.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm sorry it went this way, but I'm not sorry it went this way. If that makes sense.
Not at all. It was a great conversation, and some things just need to be said over and over again for people to get through their heads.
Somehow, there's going to be folks that's still not going to get it. But
Why would they? Why would they?
I guess that's why things the way they are. But anyway, let's leave it at that. Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate you spending this time with me and having this great conversation. And I want to stay in touch with you.
Well, I just friend requested you on Facebook, so there you go.
Nice. And well, to all of you out there, if you are new to the channel, thank you for stopping by, and I ask that you please subscribe. If you're a regular, thank you for your support. And until the next one, please, everyone, take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network